welcome to Viewpoint, your program of personalities, politicians, and perspectives. This morning, of course, we have a great perspective, and we have a couple of great personalities. Local folks done good, as they say.
Yeah, they did.
They done real good.
And we have Me Too. We have local personalities, and we have Me Too.
And then we got Jim Ash. He's local boy, done good.
Yeah.
Good. Okay, serious business. Richard and April, you always recall that we try to start. I know you listen on every morning, every Wednesday morning, you hang on this program, every word, so you remember that we start with a kudo or maybe two kudos. I think we'll leave it to one kudo, Mrs. Busby. Kim Quinn put together a great group of youngsters at the high school last weekend, and they put on this production of Peter Pan, as everybody knows. I think our two listeners out there would remember Peter Pan.
Oh, yeah.
Mary Martin floating above the stage out there in Broadway, whatever that was. I don't know the story. Never did know the story of Peter Pan. And frankly, I didn't give it to her. But anyway, but the kudos come because Kim Quinn's kids, all of them, the cast,
60-some,
did an outstanding job. The leads were just really professional. And one of the things that Kim did, she brought in a lot of little rugrats, too, to be a part of the kids and the cast and so forth, and they were cute as a button. The whole thing was a delightful experience, and congratulations to the Lincoln Community High School Board of Education for letting Kim go the extra mile. You know, there were some things that when you have to bring in this flying trapeze business, we have some attendant possibilities, and the board stepped up and let her do that. So, and she did an outstanding job.
Oh, it was amazing.
Yeah.
And I have a kudo too, please and thank you.
Wait a minute. I want to talk to Jim about that. Are we going to give you any? Yeah.
When will you get back to me?
Well, you're getting into Richard's and April's time.
I'm good.
Richard, just hang in there, bud.
I will.
Okay. So, come Saturday, in the big city of Atlanta, Illinois, the public library is sponsoring a block party, a spring block party sponsored by Mattingly Automotive. They'll have a bake sale from 9 to 3 at the library, bounce houses noon to 5 at the library, kids face painting 1 to 3 at the library, silent auction 9 to 9 at the library and the Union Hall, fried chicken dinner 6 to 8 Union Hall. That's 114 Arch Street upstairs, by the by. And music and dancing on your full stomach from 6 to 9 at the Union Hall.
Somebody once has gone to a lot of trouble to put this production on.
Oh, you're darn right. And
again, it takes a village,
yeah,
you know.
Yeah, so...
These small communities do these things. They come together, the people all get together, and they work like the dickens and cooperate and help one another. And first thing you know, we've got a good project going here.
Yeah.
So, by the way, we got Pigs and Sweets coming up in early January, too. I mean, early June.
Yeah, it's another J.
Next month. So, another thing.
Like
okay.
Judy and Jim.
Well, let's get down to serious business. Now, we have some nice guests this morning who perform a real service for Lincoln Logan County.
Amen. And they are April Jensen and Richard Sumrall. Richard has been at the library here as the head librarian for a while now, haven't you?
Since 1991.
That
Been
goes
that long,
back.
Richard.
Uh-huh. Well, you're kind of an old-timer here now, then.
I'd like to think so.
And April Jensen, and she's kind of an old-timer here, too, because she was born here. Yes, and she has, I think they refer to it as the annex, don't they, across the hall?
Which is a wonderful addition.
Oh, my word, yes, yes.
She's the circulation manager.
You know, I'm the only one left to remember the Ida Webster, an early librarian.
I've
No,
heard
you're not,
stories.
actually. We have some other people who come in and remember her, too.
Is that right? Mm-hmm. And they can still read?
Yeah, they do, actually.
They're old enough to remember Ida. They're seeing an ophthalmologist, I'll tell you that.
We've got large print books. They're okay.
Oh, heck.
Well, you had a question you want to start out with, Richard.
I do,
Very
I
important.
do. I think everyone has heard of Carnegie Libraries. And Richard, if you could kind of give us a nice history lesson on the fact that this in Lincoln is a Carnegie Library.
It is a Carnegie Library, and we are proud to say it is one of the most beautiful Carnegie libraries in the entire country. We have visitors come to Lincoln from all over the country, and when they come visit the library, they are absolutely astonished at what they see because, as you know from being in there, there's some of the most extraordinary oak woodwork in central Illinois, the Tiffany-style glass dome,
Yes.
the large oak doors that are original. It's just a beautiful, beautiful place, and the library board has done everything it can to preserve this building and make sure that its status on the National Register of Historic Places in Washington, that status remains intact. So we're very proud of our building, and we invite people to come and visit. I think they'll be very pleased with what they see.
The exterior architecture is unique.
It is. It is.
Really, it's
neoclassical.
It's an attention getter.
Neoclassical with the large columns in the front and the portico above. Very nice. Unique style brick, much thinner and longer, more rectangular than you see in a normal brick. So it's a very unique brick pattern when you look closely at the exterior, and the mortar that they used is a very unique color as well. It's not your typical concrete cement mortar color. It does have a color to it. So they even took care for those kind of details when they started construction in 1902.
Think of that.
1902. Isn't that a miracle?
And you know, April, for the longest time, I'm about out of here now, but for the longest time, I always thought, in my ignorance, that all Carnegie libraries were like our architecture, and that's not so at all. This is very unique in and of itself. Yeah. But for the longest time, I thought, well, the Carnegie Library, they're all like that.
Yeah. No, Mr. Carnegie and the foundation was adamant that they wanted to work with each local individual community. And the best example is where we are here in Atlanta. When you look at the Carnegie Library building in Atlanta, the octagon shape, it's completely different, but equally beautiful, equally unique. So to Andrew Carnegie's credit, he worked with each individual community all across the country where these things happen, and let that community put their stamp on their individual Carnegie building.
A remarkable legacy for the entire country, of course.
It is.
Now, the advent of television and, more importantly, computers and people's access to knowledge on their own computers, how has that impacted the use of our facilities there?
Well, I'll just speak briefly on that, and then April knows a little more about where we are transitioning from print to e-books. We continue to grow that each month, and April, to her credit, her and her staff do a great job when people come in with their device, getting it set up so they can use these services. But we have on our website 2 different e-book services and an e-magazine service, and they're continuing to grow each month. We still, of course, buy print books, but frankly, the world is starting to head toward this e-book kind of platform. And I know you, April, work with a lot of patrons who come in with their individual devices.
Yeah, we have a lot of people who you can use them on tablets, on the computer, or you can use them on your smartphone too. You could read books.
If you could read it.
Yeah. You can make that font so big so you feel like you were just flipping through that book like at breakneck speed. But you can do that everywhere. But as much as digital books are growing, it's more of a gateway to reading. We have a lot of patrons who come in and read. They've started on ebooks, but they've decided, or not everything is in ebook form, and especially not the classics. So they're completely different catalogs, and so they come in, they find an author, and they've read everything online, but not all of their stuff is online. So they come in, and then they start reading all of their other things, and then they want authors that are like that. So they are reading everything else. So
Then we have a purist, like an old codger I know real well, that is comfortable with a book in his lap.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
a lot of people are finding that out too.
Do you hear that from people?
Yes. Yeah. People still mention that
Yeah.
to us, and we're still committed to the print for the foreseeable future. But we are seeing a transition. We actually have patrons who like both and use both services, because if you do go on vacation, you carry your tablet with you, log on to the internet, log on to the library's website, bring in your ebook, you're good to
Yeah.
go. Don't
You can
worry about bringing
go
it
anywhere.
back.
Yeah, that's a nice thing. A lot of people like, because there's an animate. And I can't say this word.
Inanimate?
No, nobody knows what you're reading, so they can read whatever they want.
Anonymity?
That's it. I can't say that word.
Is it
Spell
smaller
anonymous.
than a bread box?
Spell anonymous for me.
But they can read whatever they want. Nobody sees it, and they don't have to return the book either, and so it just magically disappears. And for people who read really fast, you can check out a book for 7 days, and then they can just keep reading, and they can read a lot faster. Some people can read a lot faster, and for people who are purists, sometimes you have to read on a tablet or your smartphone because they can't hold a book. There's a lot of people who a book is too heavy, especially if you're reading something like Stephen King, who's giant tomes. It's easier to do that. So and you can get the font as big as you want.
A lot of
So-
variety right now. A
Well,
lot of
with-
variety.
With the exception of my friend here, do you find that there's like a line between the young people and people my age?
No.
Where, the old people like me are,
Yeah.
Yeah.
see, I told you.
Uh-huh.
And part of the
Yeah.
appeal is on your tablet you can adjust, as April mentioned, you can adjust the font
Your font
Yes.
size, yeah.
exactly how you want, so you can turn it into a large print book on your tablet instantly. You also don't have to worry about bringing the item back, because as she mentioned, the system takes it back automatically at the end of your loan period. So we do have baby boomers, greatest generation patrons who are enjoying these services as well. And it's helpful when they can come to the library and April and her staff can sit down with them and get the device set up. That's the most important thing, is getting the device initially set up with the download for the program to do it, which they are great at doing in the annex. Once we get that, it's just 2 clicks and you're ready
Let's
to
talk
go.
about this annex for a minute across the alley. I mean, that is a wonderful addition to our library.
Thank you.
And I don't know whether you could function in today's times without that wonderful. You've got a lot of
we are
space.
pretty important.
You got a lot of square area there, and I noticed when I've been in and out of there, which is not as often as ought to be, but we've
noticed
in school
that.
you've got a lot of little rugrats running around in there. You have special programs for the youngsters in those early preschool ages and the early
6
early
months
elementary.
to 18.
So that's a wonderful thing.
Yeah, it is. It's very popular.
Now, tell us, you're the major domo there?
Excuse me? No. For the adult side, yes, because the annex,
Yeah.
a lot of people don't realize that the annex is not just children's room. It is half children's and half adults. So that's where all of the adult quote-unquote fun reading, you don't have to learn anything from it. There's science fiction. That's how I always say it, and I shouldn't say that.
I always try to avoid learning.
Well, it's like the nonfiction research reference that's over in the Carnegie. And then ours is science fiction, which is a growing collection, mysteries, DVDs.
Yeah, you have a substantial collection of DVDs.
Yes, and we have
covering a potpourri of subject matter.
Yeah, and we have a lot of great old movies like Metropolis. We have that on DVD. If nobody knows what that is, even you guys, I can tell by Judy's face. Metropolis was one of the best silent films ever made, and it was made in, I think, 1929 in Germany.
I thought that was where Superman came from.
Good guess. Yeah.
It's if you ever, for movie buffs, if you want to see incredible movie and wonder how it's made, just watch that one. It's just fabulous.
We've really tried to build our classic movie DVD collection. They're very popular with people, so they're in the annex as well. So the annex has really worked out nicely for us, and it will become a busy place here in the next few weeks as the summer reading program starts to kick
Yes. Well, maybe you ought to give it. Do you want to say something?
No, I'm just sitting here listening, trying to learn things. I'm not too old to learn.
Maybe you better.
I may forget it by the time I get home, but I'll learn.
But you'll have it for now. Maybe you better give us your summer programs rundown.
Well,
School is nearly
there's
out.
going to be two, and I'll let April talk in a moment about the adult reading program because they have a lot of fun as well. But we're going to do the summer reading program for the kids again. The theme is Reading Takes You Everywhere. And this year, all of the activities with the age groups are really activity-based because the thing that's popular in libraries right now is STEM, science, technology, arts, math. So they're really going to come in and do a lot of hands-on projects, experiments, fun things which will point them toward the books that cover those kinds of things. So it's going to be a very busy, fun year for the kids. As April said, from ages 6 months up through teenagers. And then we're also going to do an adult summer reading program, which April and her department's in charge of as well.
Now, my hearing's not that good, but I did hear you say 6 months.
6 months.
Now, that's
Yeah.
remarkable.
We have a program, and it's
That's just
called
remarkable.
Music and Movement, and they're doing it this year for the summer reading program, and it's for 6 months until 5 years old, and they play music, and then they do activities while they're doing music, and it's absolutely wonderful because it gets the children of all of those ages together, and it really is what libraries do, and it's crossing a lot of generational boundaries because it's those little children and their caregivers, and sometimes that's grandparents, and they're getting together and they're moving and they're doing dances and they're learning, and it's really amazing to see that, and just to hear all the giggles that happen and see all the smiles when it's over with, and see how excited these children and the parents and grandparents and caregivers are when they come to the library too. So that's always amazing.
That's remarkable. You know, I think, sitting here thinking, 6 months, I'm indebted to my first grade teacher, and her name was Catherine McGough. I can see that just as clearly in my own mind. But anyway, she introduced me to the Lincoln Library. And not just me, all of her students. And what a lasting impact that's had on my life, because I spent a lot of time at the library.
Well,
A lot of books.
It's amazing. We've been at the same location for 116 years, so we're easy to find.
You know,
We're
gonna
lucky
talk
to live
about
in a small town, too,
Uh-huh.
because you're more aware. You know, like in Minneapolis, to go to the library is a big darn deal.
Yeah.
You know, but here we can take advantage of it. You can hop in your car, hop on your bike, hop on your trike, whatever age you happen to be.
Exactly, yeah.
in case you use your rollerblades.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
You would
Now,
have
we're
to
gonna
take
talk
off the
about the
rollerblades.
economics of the library in just a minute, but we have an economic factor here at this station, and that means we have to recognize our sponsor. So we'll let Mr. Rice go ahead when he's ready. He's flipping dials and rolling things. Right, back in the studios here at WLCN 96.3, high on the road at 2250. Our guests this morning on Viewpoint, April Jensen and Richard Sumrall, stalwarts in our library, and the library wouldn't function without April and Richard. Judith Kay and I worked real hard to kind of come up with some different guests, and Judith Kay had the light bulb went off in her head, and she said, we ought to get
For
the
a
library.
change.
Yeah, for change. Well, so we need to get the library on this. You're absolutely right. So Richard and April kind enough to give their time today. I mentioned economics before we went on here with our sponsors. It's very expensive to buy books today.
It's very expensive. When I came in 1991, the base price for a book was between $19.95 and $24.95, and we get a nice library discount, so they were much cheaper.
Oh.
But they're selling books now $35 retail. It's becoming more expensive
To
to
me,
buy
they're not.
books.
Yeah.
I never could, all due respect, Mr. Gossett, I never could see the value in my buying books at the price they sell for. When I can go up to the library and borrow one from you
Yeah.
and just take good care of it and bring it back, and it's right there I save myself enough to get my air fixed.
Well, to get it back on time, you have to pay the penalties. What's the penalty today for 2 cents a day or
We
what?
don't do that anymore. We dropped
Oh,
that
is that a
several
fact?
years ago. We wanted to try fine-free and see if things came back more, and I think we found that things come back. We're trying to stay fine-free and encourage people to bring their items back.
But if you keep it if you've had it over 8 months, yeah, you're going to have to pay something.
It's
so-
yours.
I think.
Yeah, it's yours, and you're going to have to pay for
Buy
it.
the book and forget it.
Yeah, so
Yeah, we'll give you up to
Yeah,
those
you-
months, but after that,
Tell us the average age group comes in. You have students, and then you have a lot of old people like me, and some mid-rangers. What would be the across the board?
Actually, I want to say is middle-aged. Just did this, and I can't remember.
a lot of young families, too.
There's a lot of families, but yeah, we actually, it's kind of all over the board. But what's really surprising is we are 57. Our patrons are 57% women, which is
Interesting.
Yeah, I
So we
thought that
gotta
was
work
very
on that.
interesting. Yeah.
You got a what?
You and I've got to work on that.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Well, Jim can't work. The hours he works, he doesn't have much time.
That's
Now-
why the digital books are good too.
And you've
ebooks,
got
you
some
can
great
get 'em.
people at your front desk, in both the alley and the annex and the library proper. You get some really nice people. Does
you.
anybody walk in and immediately go to the Dewey Decimal System and know what they're looking for?
Yeah.
Some, yes. But there's no physical card catalog anymore.
Oh,
it's
yeah.
all on computer.
Oh, well,
but
you've taken away
you
the
could look it up-
romance.
You could look up the card catalog on your phone there, your device. It's all online now.
Yeah, you can look at this.
Oofta.
You can search the catalog.
I can use
Isn't
my
that-
cell phone
You can use your cell phone for a lot of things. For
and
the
get up
library.
your library site and look up. Isn't
You
that
can log on
amazing?
to your account and request it too. You can do that on your cell phone or on your computer. We have a lot of people who do that too, so that's very nice that you can go on your computer and search the catalog and request books and see what's out there.
Well, I'm not sure I could operate the Dewey Decimal System. That was named for Tom Dewey, by the way.
Oh, no, it wasn't. Even I know that.
They just called him Melville for short.
Oof.
I've forgotten how that works. I was taught that many years back.
Yeah.
You come in and
All
you
of
want to
those
go.
numbers.
For instance, those of us who were on the speech and debate teams in Lincoln High School or any other high school, we'd go to the library and do a lot of research.
Yes.
And go right to the catalog there, and you knew what to do, and you go fool around and come up with your book.
Right. Well, the 400s are language, and the 800s are literature. So that's probably where you spent most of your time.
I was going to say, what else? How well do you know the Dewey?
You know, twice you've mentioned that these young and older technocrats that come in, you think that's so wonderful because they get involved through their laptops and what all have you. And then that gives you a segue to show them that, and now in this section of books here, you check these out because that will follow up and explain that more fully. And that this is kind of like a jump starter for people to start using the library's books just like the olden days.
Exactly. Yeah. Everyone thinks that libraries are becoming obsolete, and they're not. And they're going into a different phase. And a lot of people who come in, a lot of patrons and parents and children, it's their social outlet because there's not a lot of community activities sometimes. So the library is becoming a community space, and that's where a lot of people are coming together and they're meeting, and that's where their community grows, and you can learn more things. So,
and you got a common.
Go ahead.
You got a commonality there. If two people came to the library, they
Exactly.
obviously like books.
Yeah, and throughout America, it's just that's where they're going to, is that, and it's bridging a lot of gaps and so forth. Like in Ferguson, Missouri, during the riots, the library became a place of healing and community and so forth. So that's the place of libraries. So we're still important and we're still vital and we're still there.
There might be somebody who has a question or two. One of our listeners out there might have a question. 648-5510. And if you can't say anything nice about the library, don't call.
Thank you.
That's what our mothers used to tell us.
Yes,
You don't have
exactly.
something nice to say, don't say anything at all.
A service
advice.
that you provide for our community in that little corner up there. Newspapers from around the area.
Still
Is
very
that still a popular factor with you?
Still very popular. We have a very steady, dedicated group
Same old
of
souls
patrons. Some old souls, some newer souls. No, we try to get all of the regional newspapers that we can. We did have to drop the Tribune because it became too expensive, and frankly, it came too
Besides,
late in
that's
the
a lousy
mail.
newspaper now anyway.
Okay.
It was a great newspaper
Yeah.
this time. And then
But-
some people got away from it. With
Yeah,
waste.
around here, more people are really interested in the Springfield Journal Register, the newspapers in the Pantograph, in Champaign, Peoria, that kind of thing. And during some tough budget times back in the 90s, when I was having to do some cutbacks, I made the mistake of canceling the Champaign newspaper
Gazette?
subscription, News Gazette. I got it back in a hurry. So.
Is that right, Richard?
Yes, and I learned my lesson there.
Yeah.
So, but no,
You're a quick study, aren't you,
yes,
Richard?
you learned that one fast.
Well, I suspect a substantial number of those who were upset about it were probably former students from over there. That
Former students, sports
used to reading that
fans,
newspaper when they were students.
and sports fans that keep up with all the U of I
Oh, that's right.
baseball, basketball, and football.
Sure.
Mabel's
teams.
back.
So, yeah, I learned that lesson pretty easily.
What would be your biggest challenge today as administrator of our library, Mr. Sumrall?
I think for us, it's the rising cost of everything besides books. Everything is going up, and the public is really asking for more programs, more electronic services, more things for the kids, more non-traditional programs, and more books, DVDs, and audio books. Just trying to expand everything that we can offer. That's always the biggest challenge for us.
How do you fund yourself, by the by?
We are a library district, so we are our own local unit of government. We have a tax levy that we levy on the people of Lincoln, Illinois. That's our legal boundaries. And we also collect non-revenue money through a variety of sources as well. So the levy is the main source of revenue.
You know, we might add a junction to our nice library here. You mentioned this wonderful little octagonal building not too far from us up here in Atlanta.
Absolutely.
And the young ladies started a Whistle Stop Library over there in Emden, which is a neat thing.
Yes.
The Elkhart community has a nice little library there.
They do.
And all those folks who live in those
Mount
areas,
Pulaski.
they're
Mount Pulaski is
really
a nice one.
lucky to have it. Mount Pulaski, they have a nice little library there.
Yeah.
So the folks that live in those communities are really very lucky to have that availability.
Right.
And they can perform the same services as far as getting DVDs and CDs and so forth.
Exactly. It is a source of pride for all of us in Logan County. a county of about 30,000 people, that there are 4 fully tax-supported community libraries
lucky.
that the people support in Lincoln, Mount Pulaski, Atlanta, and Elkhart. And that's a nice thing. That speaks well of the entire county.
Tell me, April, with your programs, you're over in the annex for the most part.
I think that's where Richard likes to keep me over there. That way I'm away from him.
I need her over there. It's so busy over there. I need
Gets her over there and out of the way, and she's not
I
bugging
see.
with some problem. What's the most traffic you see over there, April, in our annex?
Oh, gosh. Actually, we see so much of everything.
But it's a daily thing, isn't it?
Yeah, and
Which is
it's-
really neat. You'd think, really, with television, which is absolutely nothing as far as programming is concerned, maybe that's why you're doing so well.
It could be. Yeah, we get it's a lot of everything. We have little children of all ages. Our teens are coming in and getting books. We have a lot of adults of all ages that come in and get a little of everything. Our paperback exchange, if you don't have a library card, you can always come in and just pick up a paperback. If you bring one in, you take one out. And for people going on vacation, they love that. So if they lose the book, they're out nothing. And that's always getting traffic, and that's of all ages. We don't have anything for children over in the paperback exchange, but yeah, our traffic is really a lot of variables. There's not really, you can't say, oh, we get a lot of this or a lot of that. It's really nice. It's a nice mix of everybody in the community.
Well, an old geezer like me who loves old classic movies, those that came out in the 30s and the 40s, when they knew how to make movies without all this blood and guts and language and so forth. Do you get a fair run of people looking for classic movies?
Yes, actually we
That's
do.
interesting.
Yeah, and that again is a little bit of mostly people of maybe 30 and older, but even young people come in and get those because they're really good movies, and some of them, I mean, especially an Alfred Hitchcock movie, I mean, those are just classics that you have to keep watching over and over again. And Rebecca was
Those are timeless.
Yeah, and you just have to keep watching them, and especially around Halloween, we have some absolutely the original Nosferatu, we've got that, and I mean, just fabulous movies that are really good. We don't have Carrie, which, thank God. But we have really good horror movies, which are, stuff that really makes you,
I've never been
Scared.
into those.
Yeah, exactly, and they're not gory, so it's, which is good.
That's interesting because, nothing. We'll just skip that because nobody likes to hear an old man rant. Parade, so.
No, I do. You go ahead and rant or rave, whichever.
Like Casablanca.
We have that.
That you get a lot of that's of course one of the classics, black and white.
Yes.
And when people knew how to act and so forth.
Sure.
And you get a big run on that even today.
Yep. And if we don't have
2018.
something, we can request it for you.
And they
So-
acted with their clothes on.
Yeah, exactly. That's the amazing part, and there's not
Is
any
that like
vulgarity.
multitasking?
It is. That is
My mother
multitasking.
could send me the movies, not worry.
Yeah.
And we also have not only old movies like that, classics, but we also have TV shows. A lot of people kind of forget that you can get TV shows at the library as well. We have some, and then again, what we don't have, we can request.
Sure.
Bring
So-
back
You know-
Tim Conway.
Yeah. You have a sign up at the library about if you're not in a library district, you can pay a fee, and presto changeo,
Right,
you're a member of the library.
Like Richard
Correct.
said, we have boundaries, and every
Yes.
library has boundaries.
Right.
And those that are in quote unquote no man's land, they have to pay an $85 fee, but that's the average of what everybody pays in town on their taxes, and it's good for everybody in the household for 1 year. So if you have readers or you are a reader, if you buy 2 or 3 books, that's already paid for your
That's
for your
right.
account. And if you've got little kids, it pays for itself in no time.
Now, speaking of little kids, would they then be eligible for the the children's programs come summer?
Yes.
Yeah,
Too.
actually,
So all the services of the library.
Yeah, and actually for the children's program and the adult reading program that we have for the
Yes.
summer, you don't have to have a library card to participate in that. I mean, a library is still free to everybody to use. You can't check anything out, but you can still come in and use the library. You can still read a book. You can sit and read all day a book if you don't have a library card. We're going to look at you funny.
Do you have adult volunteers who come in and help you with the children?
No.
No.
We
It's
have
all staffed.
Were you
We
gonna
have teen
We
volunteers. We
have
don't have
teen
adult.
volunteers.
Yeah.
Well, and that's good for the teens and good for the kids.
Yeah, we've done better with our teen programs over the last few years and created programs that are of interest to them because we've tried to listen to them and get their input on what they would like the library to do. It's a tough group for public libraries, when they get to that age, but we're proud of our teen programs, and we do have teen volunteers, and we're going to try and expand even further. We've got activities for the teens this year during the summer reading program, and we will keep plugging away and listening to their suggestions and recommendations on how we can reach out to them.
You poor souls. You must feel sometimes like the push me pull me. We listen to this group and see what it is that would improve things for them, and then we listen to that group and see what they have to say. My gracious.
We're trying to
you
get
get
everybody.
It's actually one of the few places that your voice means a lot, and so we do want to hear your feedback, and we want to address the needs of the community and the wants of the community.
Do you get author requests?
Yes,
You do.
Quite a
Probably
few.
pretty common.
we have
few.
a lot of author lists, people who come in and ask for certain authors and they want to know everything they've read. So we have some author lists that we keep at the library at the annex desk, and it's everything that a specific author has read, and it's in chronological order or by series order, and they take them and they keep them.
I'm not following this right now. Does that mean if I came in and said an author's name to you, you could tell me, well, you seem to have read all of his/hers
No.
except that one?
No, that's something different. But we can tell you what books that author has had. There is something on your on library cards that you can have your history turned on, and we can tell you what they've read. But you have to have it turned on. You have to ask us about it. But we can tell you, oh yeah, you've read that book, or no, you haven't, or
We've got a local author who's done pretty well. Goes down to Tucson, writes stuff that's not interested in some of us older people. But John Venice, John, that's his brother.
Yeah.
I mean, Venice has done very well down there.
I think we have a couple of his books. We have a standing policy. Any local person that does any book, we're going to add it to our collection. So we want to support local authors in any way we can. We also like to have local author book signings.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
So we've had quite a few of those.
Mike, when he was back, Mike Venice, he signed.
Yeah,
And,
Dan Tackett, when he did his
Danny Tackett,
Yes.
book signings. So
different style writing.
yeah.
And kind of down folks homesy that Danny put out, and kind of interesting, particularly for old timers.
Yep.
To read
Very
about those
popular
things.
books. Still
I
get
should
checked
think
out.
so.
Still get checked out.
Because they're right here in River City, you know?
Yep.
We had an author
wanna
who
read
wrote
that.
one book here, Danny. A bad day at Sumrall.
Oh, no.
And it was about his experiences.
Brayton Danner.
Brayton Danner.
Probably
Danner,
one of the most popular local author books.
Is that right?
Well, it
since I
was
have
down
been in
home
Lincoln.
first-hand experience
Yeah.
writing.
Yeah.
And it was a catharsis for him.
It was.
As a matter of fact, Father Jim Cravens is the one that got him to write that book to kind of get some of this out of his system.
Yeah.
And it was, it's a gripping book.
It is.
A bad day at Sumrall.
And unfortunately, there are no copies available, despite the fact that people come into the library and ask, do we know where you can buy a copy? So any copies that we happen to get, we keep, because it's really that important of a book here in our community. not only for what it helped Brayton do, but it's an extraordinary first-hand account of action in World War II from a Lincoln native, and it's just an important book, and it's very difficult to find any copies floating around.
I had a personal experience with that, vicariously, that is. I've been to the Normandy Cemetery 3 times now, and I came home and told my friend Harry Comstock, now deceased. I said, Harry, I came across General McNair's grave. General McNair was General Wesley J. McNair, and we dropped a bunch of bombs short at San Lo. That's where the San Lo business comes in. And we killed some of our troops there, including this 3-star general. And Harry had a terrible job during the Second War. He was Graves Registration Unit. Must have been a tough job. Anyway, I told him about it, and he said, I picked him up.
Oh, you're kidding.
Oh, gosh.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
My best friend to this day now.
Yeah.
And he picked up General McNair after this tragedy.
Wow.
The hours for your library, that's you make it a point to try to make your library available for the public.
We're trying to. We're always open for input on the hours and the days, but we do want to be open where we can get the most patrons to come in. We understand people are working. We are open until 7 p.m. On Tuesdays and Thursday nights. We're open until 1 p.m. on Saturday. We used to be open a little longer on Saturdays, but things really seem to die out after lunch. April and I have found over the years that we are a very busy 9 a.m. Community. We open all 6 days at 9 a.m. We have people waiting at the doors. We have people coming in. And some of the busiest hours in the library in the day are 9 a.m. to 11 a.m.
Well, that should be gratifying, seeing a line at the door, because it means you're certainly serving the people.
Well, it means a lot to us.
You offer another great service, and if you don't have a book, and you can't have everything there, for goodness sakes, but you're able to get books and publications and CDs, DVDs,
Pretty much anything.
And a pretty quick turnaround.
Our delivery system, we're part of the Illinois Heartland Library System, and their delivery system is very wonderful, and they're very good and very quick. But sometimes it can take a while. If it's a popular book, it can take a while, but if it's from certain libraries, it can be one day, but sometimes, unfortunately.
Quick, do you have a final question, my dear?
No, I just want to tell them thank you, and I love their library.
Yeah, you bet.
We love you guys coming in. So.
Thank you.
Well, April Jensen and Richard Sumrall, representing Lincoln Public Library, done a great job this morning for us. Mr. Ash couldn't hold the clock back. He let it run up to 9 o'clock. I always try to close with a quote that I found. And this, of all people, I think this was Groucho Marx, as he said, I must say, I find television very educational. The minute somebody turns it on, I sit down with a good book from the library.
I remember that.
Thank you, Richard and April.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.